Back at it again.
Yeah, back.
Back at it again with the BroDiallo Show. It's BroDiallo and of course Olu.
Right, back like you never left. You
On
know
the
that?
board.
You know that? You know that saying? Back like you never left.
Yeah, like KRS-One said that.
Right.
Boogie Down Production is back because we never left. The radical sound from KRS. Wild guess.
I'm putting you on.
Who you put me on to? Who else said that?
Oh, to KRS-One?
You put me on the KRS-One.
I mean, 2 weeks ago you were like, yo, I need some old hit, right? Do don't know. I'm like, okay.
It's nothing to be ashamed of.
Yeah.
That's nothing to be ashamed of. You youthful. That's your whole life to find out irrelevant facts about older people.
Hey, everybody. BroDiallo, I'm thinking you need to come up with a name for your viewers. I was thinking maybe like say the conscious circle,
The critical thinkers.
the critical thinkers.
Don't they have to name themselves?
Right. I mean, we got people. Brittany can come up with something.
The Diallo Hive. I've seen people throw names in there,
Right.
but then I mean, I don't maintain loyalty because eventually I'll say something to cross somebody because I'm not a demagogue, and I'm even apt to change my conclusions and positions based on new evidence and as circumstances and reality change because I'm a true radical.
Right.
So it's kind of hard to build a hive when you are also trying to stay radical and evidence-based.
Yeah.
So I have people that'll rock with me. Like I used to critique feminism a lot. And I started finding that I had a lot of sexist dude and manosphere types that would agree with my critiques of feminism, even though my ultimate conclusion was that feminism didn't go far enough. You know, it was my position that feminist is an integrationist type movement. Equality with men is basically campaigning for doom. And I think that women should go much further than, and I would Africana womanism, or even true radical feminism, not TERF, but true radical feminism. So when I would criticize feminism, and the manosphere cats would be like, "Yeah, these women feminists destroyed the black family." I'm like, well, I didn't say that. You know, feminists hate men. I didn't say that. And so it's hard to build a hive unless you gotta.
Right, but if the critical thinkers, they can think for themselves, right? And they can call you out on your BS.
Yeah,
like
but critical thinkers inevitably evolve into consistent haters. We will see. I just say,
I think someone came up with it's like the yada.
I never say yada though. The digressors.
Yeah.
The revolutionary Pan-Africanist, vegan ecologist.
Yeah. All right, everybody.
The bloodthirsty vegans.
Ooh. Okay.
I don't know. That was clever, but no, I just don't think I've never had the ability to form hives.
BroDiallo, before we get into today's topic, right? I would like us to just talk about like what happened during the past week. So the different things, right? But I want us to start with this. So there was the funeral, right? The service for Jesse Jackson that happened. Did it happen in Chicago?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
damn mega churches.
Yeah. So Jesse Jackson Jr., his son, said he doesn't want people bringing politics to his father's service. And it's all over social media. And people are saying like, "Oh, Democrats could not just just this one request that he's asking for you guys not to do at his father's funeral. You guys are gonna like, what's your take on all that?"
First of all, let me tell you something. Let me be honest. Let me tell you the reality about Junior, Messy Jesse Jr. And I don't know if you've seen his campaign promotions. His campaign flyers is just a giant J, uppercase J, lowercase r, period. He's running on the fact that he's Jesse Jackson Jr. That's his whole platform. That's his whole identity.
He's running for Congress, right?
Huh?
He's running for Congress?
Yes. Again, after going to jail. Right? So he's really like trying to own his father's legacy. I mean, if he could reanimate that man's corpse and do a waltz, dance with my father, Luther Vandross type shit, he would. And I don't mean to be insensitive, but this is the reality. If you could go out and if you out on the south side or in the south black suburbs of Chicago, you just see these JR, Junior, Junior, Junior. Not Jay, he don't even put his whole name, just Junior, I'm Junior. And I've talked to some elders on the south side, and for them, that's more than enough. Wait till Sasha and Malia hit the streets and decide to get in on politics. You'll see how that legacy shit works. It's like Black people are very, very kind of receptive to monarchy. But anyway, here's the thing. Jesse was investigated and prosecuted under the Obama administration.
Right.
Jesse, in his own mind, was supposed to be the first Black president, Jesse Jr. He was supposed to be the first Black president because his father was a little too early. But America was now ready. And the first Black president in the United States was going to come from Chicago, come from a powerful civil rights and political lineage. And it was going to be Jesse Jackson Jr. Run, Jesse Jr., run. And Obama came in and blew that whole agenda up. And Jesse, in his own mind, thought, you know, Obama kind of played him out of position. And so, are we lagging? I'm talking.
Right.
And so anyway, not only does this man come and snatch your legacy, and then the Justice Department comes and investigates you and incarcerates you. So the Jackson family, I don't know if you know, way back in Obama's before his first term, Jesse Jackson Sr. was caught on a hot mic talking about castrating Obama. Because Chicago politics, it's a cesspool. Black Chicago politics is a cesspool of many fiefdoms, but it has its rules and regulations, its terms and conditions. So if you want to do politics in Black Chicago, you got to follow a certain point. And so Obama did not play. What? Are we really lagging?
Someone just say yes, we're lagging.
Lord have his mercy. Let me go in directly. I don't know. So anyway, it's a lot, but you know, so you had this political ecosystem.
I think it's just.
I just hooked up the internet thing.
Right.
It wasn't in before.
Right. But okay. Yeah. We got it fixed. I don't think we were lagging prior. I think it was just that one person's. But it was good. All right.
So anyway, this Black Chicago, you know, because you know I kind of married into some Chicago political royalty status, because you have Black church, the Black bourgeoisie, the Black moneyed class, the Black bourgeoisie, and the Black political elite, and they all cross-pollinate. And it is a very closed and I've gone to some of their fundraisers. I've been to a few of their dinners. I've been at a few of their gatherings, but I know I ain't got no parts in it, right? So anyway, Obama was handpicked by white folks and put at the front of the Black political line. Was put at the front of the Black political line. And a lot of Black people say, yeah, we can get with this. We'll take them. A lot of Black people said, fine. This is who the white man said. If we get on board with this guy, he going to take us to the moon. Woo, woo, woo. And the Jacksons never really rocked with that. And I don't no disrespect to the Jackson families. I'm a big fan of Shantita Jackson. She is probably, and which is sad because Jonathan Jackson and Jesse Jackson Jr. get all the press and most up front, but probably the most intelligent, the most clear thinker with probably the most radical political analysis and political conclusions, the most progressive, and I say leftist of all the Jacksons is Shantita Jackson. And she gets the least amount of coverage. But anyway, so you take all of that. This man stole my legacy. In his mind, he didn't do it. And then after Obama got elected and kind of positioned Jesse Jackson Jr. out of the way. Now we're going back a decade here, almost 2 decades. Shit. And then you get me locked up. And the reason Jesse got locked up is because he was kind of went afloat. And then him and his wife just started balling out. He's like, my big political gambit has been derailed. Let's just, and they were buying like Jackson memorabilia and moose heads and shit. I don't know if you know about the case.
No.
But long story short, Jesse has a lot of axe to grind with the Democratic establishment, with the Obamas specifically, though, and the Democratic leadership position. Even though it's not about ideology, it's not because they are neoliberal status quo sellouts. His problem with them is my position within that hierarchy was subverted, was stolen from me. And now y'all gonna come and try to steal my daddy, the only person that could ride off of the wave of my dad, because even people that didn't like Jesse, when somebody passes, you become nostalgic and respect for the dead and all of that. So even people that had valid criticisms of Jesse, even Farrakhan came out with sweet words, and they were often combating. I don't know if the Nation of Islam used to be real hard on Jesse. I remember Khalid Muhammad, when he was still a minister within the nation, or I think he was over the Fruit of Islam security or some position within the cult. He was like, I am somebody. I am somebody. I don't rightfully know who I am, but I know I am somebody. That's a joke that nation members used to tell all the time. So anyway, that's how we came to this whole keep my daddy's name out your mouth. Y'all didn't know my daddy. And I don't want nobody dissing Trump at my daddy's funeral, which is a ridiculous thing to say, no politics at Jesse's memorial. Because if not for politics, Jesse would just be a poke chop preacher. Or as Dale Jones called him, Reverend Chicken Wing and a Reverend Hoop and Holler. Politics is what made Jesse who he is, not the church, not the gospel, not the word. Now, he used his ability to preach the word, but Jesse, ain't nobody ever get up on a Sunday morning to go see Jesse preach the word. Jesse was politics. And he was a political figure. So it's absurd to say don't talk politics, because what else you going to say about Jesse? Because if you start talking about the cloth, he was a man who swayed, having mistresses and children with those mistresses and all that. So all you get now, again, I'm hating from outside the club. Because I am not a liberal integrationist. I am not a status quo person. I am not a status quo Democrat. I am not a Negro Gentry or the Negro elite. So I'm just talking about their business from outside. I'm not invested in that fight. I don't have a side in that fight. I hope they all lose. But you bring in mess, and that's gospel. Right. It's much more complex. And I'm glad people, it seems so far that people are not siding with Jesse on this, because what he said suggests that he was defending Trump or trying to make a way for Trump. But the reality is it's extremely self-serving and I think short-sighted as well. Right.
And the reason I'm bringing it up is because I see a lot of people on social media also saying, oh, the dude only had one request and you guys couldn't honor it.
He made that request to who? Who did he make the request to?
To everybody at the service.
Who made the request? Jesse Jackson?
Yeah.
Senior or junior? He claimed his mom. Junior. Junior said, it ain't your memorial, Junior. We're going to talk politics at your memorial.
See, that's his daddy. Like, I don't want politics.
And again, that's my daddy. When you are a civil rights icon, you no longer belong to your family. The people made Jesse who they were, for better or for worse. I wouldn't have advised the people to do this, but the people carried Jesse on their shoulders. The people. Jesse is a figure that belongs to specifically Black Chicago, but Black America and I remember being a little kid in a public school in Kansas City, Missouri. Knox Elementary School. Shout out to 75th Street. Shout out to Prospect. Knox Elementary School. And they had on every Black History Month, they had these Black History. They'd have Rosa Parks and Jesse Jackson was there. I had to walk past Jesse Jackson's image right next to Martin Luther King. And sometimes, like Bobby E. Wright said, I hated when Black History Month would come around and they put up a picture of Abernathy, a picture of King, and a picture of Jesse. No, he said they put up a picture of Dr. King. And on one side of Dr. King, they would put up John F. Kennedy. And on the other side of Dr. King, they put up a picture of Jesse Jackson. So they watching him from the grave. Like they spying on Dr. King from the grave when I would see those pictures. So that whole don't talk about my daddy, to me, it was, I can't even say, well, he was just being emotional or lashing out. I think it was a calculated thing that will not play out ultimately the way he thinks. And he still might win his race, but you know. I mean, and here's the thing about Jesse. Again, I'll say this because I'll give credit where credit is due. When Jesse was a congressman before he got locked up for squandering funds, misappropriation of funds, even brought his wife down with him. Everybody know if you don't take the bid for nobody else, but you got to take the bid for your wife. Oh, my wife don't see this. But I think, if you don't do nothing else, I ain't with all that no snitch, blah, blah, blah. But one thing you do is you got to, and I think he tried to do that. That's number one. He did try to say, hey, and put it all on me. And the feds was like, nah, you and your wife going there. But so that's one thing I could say about it. Another thing is in Congress, as a congressman, he had some of the best, most responsive constituent services of any Midwestern congressman. His constituent services, he was inaccessible. He was a competent bureaucrat with responsive constituent services. For whatever you take that. So I will give him that as a congressman. If I was in it, I don't live in this district, but if I lived in this district back then, I would not be very discontent. And I voted for Jonathan Jackson. Probably more so because of the name, like George Jackson's little brother, Jonathan Jackson. But you put Jonathan Jackson or George Jackson on the ballot, I'm voting for it. Like I voted for this one this congressman because his name was Scott Summers after Cyclops. And I'm like, man, Scott Summers running for Congress. If he can lead the X-Men, he can lead our country. Anyway.
But Brittany is asking.
It's too soon to be talking about this. It's too soon, though. I don't know.
She's asking if Jesse was cool with Trump. I mean.
No, he was not. See, Trump was a Democrat for most of his life. And the reason Trump was a Democrat is because he operated in the Northeast. And he had to grease palms. Trump was a white collar criminal. And that's the thing. One thing that these black people that talk business, like Dr. Fubar and even Cuddly Mike, a lot of these black people who talk about entrepreneurialism and that's the future of black business in the United States and under capitalism is inextricably linked to politics. Just like the founding, when capitalism and mercantilism and international trade and early industrial production were founded, many nations were monarchies. And the monarchy and the early pre-capitalist, the wealthy men who didn't have the merchant class, they called them instead of the capitalist class, they were one and one with the state. Because you can't do capitalism without the state. So the early capitalists were hand in hand with the monarchs. In fact, things like limited liability and the other policies that we associate with capitalism and the setting for terms of trade, international trade, that was signed by governments, by monarchs. And so throughout white hegemony, capitalism, imperialism, you've never had independent free trade business. That's just branding and marketing and propaganda. But we're the true believers. Arabs come teach us Islam, and we believe more in Islam than the Arab. Europeans come and teach us Christianity. We believe we out Pope the Pope. We out Muhammad, as Dr. John Henry Clark said. We out Pope the Pope. We out Muhammad. And we believe in people. People make shit up. Capitalism, money, Christ, Allah, people make shit up that is fiction, and we take the fiction more serious than the people who made the shit up. So anyway, bringing that all the way back to Trump. Trump was a corrupt businessman operating in the Northeast. The Northeast is old money, New England states. And so he had to be embedded in the political machine of the Northeast, which was dominated by Democrats. So Trump was always cozying up to the Democratic Party. Trump, as I told you, has no true ideology besides profit. He has no true, that whole stupid ass draft Barron thing. Y'all think Trump would care if Barron got drafted and shipped off? He don't give a shit. You can't hurt this man unless you take his money.
Right.
Because that's all that exists to him. He's a sick person. So anyway, he was cozied up with the Democrats. The Clintons came to his wedding. I think he went to the Clintons, Chelsea's wedding. He was very close with the Democrats, not because he believed in democracy, civil rights, or anything other than these people standing shoulder to shoulder with Jesse Jackson, James Brown, Mike Tyson, all these Negroes he had shoulder to shoulder with, all these Democrats and liberals that he was shoulder to shoulder with, was for no other reason than he had to pay the dues in order to operate a openly corrupt system in the state. But then he had said years ago in the early 90s, if I ever run for president, I'll have to run as a Republican, because Republicans are much easier to dupe, manipulate, and trick than Democrats. That's why we think the Democrats are so much weaker than the Republicans, because the Republicans get in line and have much less internal rifts. Even though they hate each other, they carry the line. Like you go and look at the State of the Union and stuff, or their positions. Like in the Democratic Party, you have all these factions. Progressive Democrats, the Progressive Democratic Caucus, the Congressional Black Democrats, you have the corporate Democrats, you have the Democratic Leadership Committee, which is a subcommittee of you have all these factions within there. Republicans, you don't have that shit. You have log cabin Republicans, which are gay Republicans. They have no official standing. You form a club, an independent club that's divergent from MAGA. It's MAGA or nothing, MAGA or death.
Right.
So anyway.
Right.
All that to say is that's why he was doing that.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of Trump, last week I was out here saying, Trump is not Christian. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. You told me Trump is not a Christian, not a real Christian.
Wait, but hold up. I was playing devil's advocate, right? Because a lot of Christians will say, well, the man doesn't even know any verse from the Bible. He's just a grifter, blah, blah, blah. I mean, that's what people say. That's what Christians say. And then boom, here comes, I see this thing happening in the White House where he had all these people gather around Trump in the Oval Office and praying. This is it right here. Let me
pray for your continued blessing and favor to rest upon him. We pray for wisdom from heaven to flood his heart, his mind, and Lord, you will guide him in these challenging times.
Trump's gonna burn that suit.
I pray for your grace and your protection over him.
Right.
I pray for your grace and protection over our troops.
Right, that happened.
I'm going to have to burn that suit. Do you know how many elbows that brother had to throw to get his black hand on that man's shoulder? Oh, coon ass.
So the activists are asleep. This is happening while the bomb in Iran. Like, this is just the past couple of days.
Yeah, but that's Christian. Trump is a Christian. Did you see any locusts flying around that room? Did you see any toads raining down? Did you hear any lightning strike? Did you hear a rumble? God is with it. God didn't do nothing. God was sitting right there watching it with us. His name in vain. See, if Trump was there talking about BroDiallo got my back, I would immediately let it be known. I don't support, man. I don't have nothing for that demented pedophile. Never voted for him. And I have no level of support, and to the point that I don't associate myself with none of his supporters. I would have immediately, if he lied and said I was with him. So the almighty, all-knowing God knew 50 trillion years ago that on that date, Trump would sit there and claim he is his anointed. God knew it trillion years ago, and he couldn't prep, he couldn't get ready. He let it happen. So God must be down with it. And I've seen God did he send a whale to swallow Trump up and swim him around and spit him out and then be like, yo, I was in that whale, and let me just say God ain't with me. I lied on your God. You can't lie on God. Right. I told you Trump was a Christian.
Right. I was like,
more Christian than all these peaceful Christians. Christianity is a male chauvinist murder cult. And he is a male chauvinist murder cult leader. And all these black people, I'm pious, I'm a humble, I'm a loyal, I say my prayers, I play. No. How come God has blessed him more than any of them? Trump will out-Christian any of these good Negroes out here.
Yeah. Well,
I'm glad Trump did that. He must watch the BroDiallo
I know, right?
show. He's like, oh yeah. Oh, who said I wasn't a Christian? I'll show you. You call some ministers to come lay hands on you. See how many show up.
Exactly.
How many can you get? Huh? How many ministers can you come and get to lay hands and pray on you?
I can't even get one.
Look at that. And he got dozens. Some of the most prominent men of cloth.
Prominent, man.
He met with the Pope.
Right.
So yes, Trump is Christian as fuck.
All right. One last thing before we get to the topic of the day. This is shout out to Juwon from Nigeria. He hit me up. Like he sent me a DM to the BroDiallo show Instagram page. And this is to tell people, if you're not watching live and you want to ask BroDiallo questions, you can either leave the question under the YouTube the comments, or you can send a DM to the BroDiallo show Instagram page. So Juwon wants you to like talk about like Candace Owens. So he knows like Nigerians and love Nigerians, right? A lot of people are like
a lot of right-wing reactionaries on the African continent.
Exactly. And they think Candace Owens is like the Messiah.
So yeah, he's Christian as fuck too. He's more Christian.
So, right, he wants you to articulate or talk about like what the issue is with listening to Candace Owens.
Yeah, Candace Owens is a grifter. She is a fraud. She is a race traitor. She is a coon. And Kwame Ture has said, a half-truth is more dangerous than a full lie. So Candace Owens will call out the decadence of Black culture. She will get up there and say, well, this decadent rap culture, and the media, the dominant media, or sometimes she'll say directly or indirectly, the Zionist or Jewish controlled media is making Black people behave in this degenerate way. Right. And at the same time, she will call out, and then Black people are like, this show is right. Sexy Red and WAP and with Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion. Candace is right. Candace will call out the servants of the systems and institutions of capitalism and white hegemony. But not only will she not call out capitalism and white hegemony, she will celebrate and validate it. So what she does is she punches down. She has this surface and incomplete analysis that gives her enough credibility to manipulate people. So she aligns herself with racists because that's where the money resides. So, and what she does, and the reason why you talk about Africans love her, she has a very strong following. And the reason what she does is it's called like ideological grafting and social priming. So you and I were born, I was born in the United States in the belly of the beast. So I underwent Western indoctrination, Christianity, educational, economic, anti-communist, pro-capitalist, pro-white, anti-African. You underwent a colonial education. And the colonial education, even worse than the colonial education, you underwent or came up in a neo-colonial system, which means the infrastructure of exploitation was being carried out by Africans on behalf of white financiers. When before there would be a governor or a prefect or a constable, a white man there directly controlling and giving instructions. But you came up under something that's even worse and harder to deal with, which is oppression on autopilot. Oppression on autopilot, right? So we have certain fundamental beliefs and perceptions that have been ingrained in us from the womb. And so if I want to be a Black leader, I take those preconceived. I believe in God. Everybody believes in some type of God. Man was made to worship. I believe in capitalism and accumulation. I believe in hard work, a Protestant work ethic. I have stringent moral values, and there's a certain way to conduct yourself as a man and a certain way to be a woman. We all have that ingrained in us. We don't examine where it comes from. We just accept it as a fundamental truth. Now, I can come as a person and look at this massive population of Black people who have been primed to have certain fundamental understandings, beliefs, and positions, certain things that tie them all together. And I can graft onto that. Our job as revolutionaries is to destroy it, to create a new man. As Marcus Garvey said, he failed because he tried to change a man's condition before he changed a man's mind. Revolution is an intellectual endeavor. We have to in order to liberate our people, reconstruct how we perceive and engage reality in every aspect of it. But these demagogues like Candace Owens, what they do is they understand there's already fundamental positions. And she can come in and say, I know I'll come in with pro-Christian, pro-Western, pro-capitalist, and I'll pepper that with high moral standings and values. I'll come in with the targeting people who are already pariahs in society, the queers, transgenders, the immigrant invaders, the thugs, and the Jezebel. And so all she did was take the place of the white man and capture audiences. And now people can be comfortable saying, well, I'm not following Oral Roberts. I'm not following a white man, a white moralist. I'm following a Black woman. And because she looks like me, Trojan fucking horse, she looks like me. She's a Black woman. So I can come in. But this same Black woman, she has a white man. She had a baby with this white billionaire capitalist. Right? Who profits from the very degeneracy she denounces every day, who is invested in making profits from the degeneracy she claims she's fighting from. And she's living in degenerate, obscene, multimillionaire wealth. What did Jesus say about wealth? And she denounces the degeneracy while fully participating in it. And she gives a Black face and Black justification. So, but she had a baby with this white man, right? And when she posted the baby online, her white audience were calling her babies monkeys and baboons and the most racist, degenerate things you could say about a child. She was mentored by Charlie Kirk, another overt racist who said Black women lack fundamental intelligence. And so she's going to raise her children up. You know, them children going to go to the whitest school. You know, she live in the whitest neighborhood. They're going to watch the whitest programming and move in the whitest racist circles, right-wing, ultra-conservative circles, private white schools. You know, and it makes me think of Russell Simmons' daughters, who are adults now, talked about growing up wealthy and Black and how they would go to these elite private schools with these white kids and be called the hard R word. And when they brought it up to the staff or to the administrator of this elite private school, like, what do you want? This is the child of a dignitary. This is the child of a diplomat. Here's a child of a rapper. Get the fuck out of here. And how they said they went through all kind of identity issues and all that. That's why this Black wealth shit, this Black excellence shit, some bullshit, but that's a whole nother discussion. All I'm saying is Candace Owens is unscrupulous. She's willing to do what it takes. That's why, just like, remember when Trump was a Democrat? Candace Owens, before she took this right-wing turn, was a civil rights activist. She called out the NAACP to fight for her rights and the rights of other persecuted Negroes. She was woke. She tried to create a national database for racial incidents and racial offenses. She was woke, anti-racist. And when that gripped, she couldn't get none of that, and that money wasn't coming through fast enough, she jumped over to the right-wing fascists. And they always need a token. They always need a shine boy to validate. I can be as racist as I want to be if I'm a white person, if I've got Negroes to come and tell the other Negroes, you know, it's like around the White House is a big black gate. a big iron rod gate. A black gate always surrounds the White House. And that's what these black people are. Like, which one of you Negroes has enough self-hate and have so little integrity that you will take on this job? And they're interchangeable. There were several that came before her, and there are a bunch of Negroes lined up to take her place when they dispose of her, or she finally, you know.
Right. I mean, I was gonna say, like, what do you think of Stephen A. Smith too? Because
I blame y'all for him. How the fuck does this guy have anything in the world? Y'all watch this black man, and I see brothers. I mean, some of this stuff, I think white folks should have to carry some of these white folks. That's the property of, I'm sure, if you pull down that man's pants and on his right tree, property of the white man. Is branded on his right ass cheek. That man is the coon of coons. But because y'all liked how he talked about ball chasing and how he gets so excited and engaged in this man, who the fuck can watch that? How does this man have any status or standing or presence amongst black men? I blame black men for that, dude. Because the one thing that can bring a Uncle Tom to prominence is having some level of status amongst the Negroes. That's not always true. Clarence Thomas has no organic relationship with any black people or black, but he's in a class by himself. That's you know, Super Saiyan Negro. I don't know the Saiyan anime levels for Dragon Ball, but whatever the highest level, he got all the Dragon Balls or Dragon. Coon balls he is like Super Saiyan status, but the average coon needs to be able to navigate because you are our infiltrator. You are our attack dog. You know, so he's a clown. The shit he says is absurd. I don't understand why people were so entertained by him when he was on that show with that white dude. And don't tell me. And like, why do you get so excited and emotional about sports anyway?
Right. You know,
I have things I like. I have things that entertain me. But I'm not about to paint my face or walk out in the cold arena with my shirt off to watch a real-time strategy tournament. I have things I like, but I don't understand. And it seems, I don't know this for sure. You know, it seems like the more emotion a man is able to display for sports is countered by him being emotionally constipated when connecting with other human beings in the real world in his life, his loved ones, spouse, offspring, extended family. I just see men get so yelling, hooping, and hollering about ball chasing. Who gives a fuck? I mean, but I understand you're a professional athlete. No disrespect to you. I see you tuning up. Nothing personal, Olu. This is just my own lack of understanding. Like I said, I just don't understand it.
I understand. I see that. I was gonna say, what's his name? Stephen A. Smith. He said he was gonna run for president. This was like 2 years ago, and he was against. I know it was like against Kamala too at the time. And then all of a sudden now he's saying he doesn't want to run for president anymore. And every single day he keeps aligning himself with the MAGA, like with the.
That's where the money resides.
Right.
He's for sale. He's for sale. Now Democrats buy Negroes too, but Democrats, you know, they got a surplus. They got a surplus. And I'm not even trying to be funny here. I'm just saying, if you today wanted to be a player and you go Democrat, they'd be like, okay, you see that long line wrapped around the block? Go stand in that line. And if you want to be a prominent black Democrat, it's a long line. If you want to be a prominent black right winger, a prominent black conservative, a prominent black Republican, that's a short ass line.
And it pays well too.
It pays well, but what are you giving up for that?
Most people don't care. They just need them.
No, some people care. There are some people care, and like some people care. That's all I'm saying, and that's why, and that's how. That's all I'm saying.
Right. I agree. All right, that's 40 minutes of
nonsense.
Not nonsense. People are entertained. People want to hear that. They want to hear the talk. Okay.
Listen, I got this shirt. Everybody talking about my shirt. I bought this shirt at the Bolingbrook Goodwill.
They're calling the ball chasing. Ball chasing.
I bought this shirt at the thrift store. I did not pay retail for this shirt. So calm down, y'all. And I had to wear this shirt today. I had some things. I had to go maneuver. I had to go do a little tap dancing myself after I sat here and talked about here's my applications in and I paid my fee. So I had to, we all got to navigate the system. So anyway, I had no shame to my game. I got this at the Broly.
It's for the Epstein class. It said polo is for the Epstein class.
Please, that can tell you that's somebody that don't roll with the black community. If it's Preston and don't know brothers, he ain't heard of the low lifes. He ain't heard of that 90s Brooklyn. I think they made a documentary about the low lives.
You know what? I have no idea what it's
about. Saying polo is for the working class is like saying Timberlands or work boots. Not in the black community.
That's true.
We take shit and flip it and remix it. But anyway.
That's true.
No shame. I'm frugal swag. Don't hate. Just tell your girl not to watch tonight. If you think I'm looking too fly, Prester, just tell your girl not to tune in tonight.
Right.
And I ain't mad. That's why I keep Olu off the camera. I can't have no supermodel, pro athletes.
Well, you
gracing the screen, distracting.
I'm not all that.
The viewer. Fake, humble. I ain't got time for that. Where are we going?
Today's topic, political impotence. Impotence, right?
Impotence. You don't know what that word means?
I do.
I don't know what it means either.
You're right. So this is the thing. This is the thing with me, right? And my girl, she always corrects me. I know the words, right? But the pronunciation is
just speak pidgin.
Most people don't understand pidgin on here.
Just speak pidgin, man.
Okay, well, political impotence, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Political impotence.
Impotence.
I was going to talk about the election, but the election is next week. Everybody's been telling me the election was tomorrow, including my wife. She's like, I'm going to vote tomorrow, but early voting starts tomorrow. I vote in every election since I was 18. And my son, he'll be 18 by the next election. I'm already getting on him to put in his voter registration. And he'll probably be off on college, so he'll have to go through the whole mail-in ballot nonsense. But I'm on him. My other son, who's over 18, I've gotten on him to put in his vote, and he goes and votes. So I'm a big proponent of fully engaging and navigating the U.S. political system. But it pains me how Black people, we've been in this country the longest and we understand it the least. Black people, we look at politics like a wish list and politicians like Santa Claus. And we went and sat on the politician's lap. We told them everything we wanted. Been into mass incarceration, reparations, and we got our list of things that we want. And we gave it, and we went and pushed the button or pulled the lever or punched the holes or filled in the circle, whatever, however. Voting is so different in everywhere you go. And then I wake up the next morning and there's no reparations under my tree. There's no single payer healthcare under my tree. There's no end of mass incarceration under my tree. So I, as a voter, have my desires and requests, and the politician better give it to me. And if I don't get it, then I ain't voting no more. I'm outraged. Woo, woo, woo. There are too many people that are politically immature. And I understand it's not the voters' problem because that's how politicians play. Every politician, I don't know if you've been seeing all the campaign commercials everywhere, every day. They do play Santa Claus. I'm going to Washington, D.C., or I'm going to City Hall to give you this and do that and do that and do that. That's never how the political system worked or was even intended to work. Or was even in the political system that was established by genocidal, enslaving, rapist did not set it up to work that way, this representative democracy in this democratic republic. And even throughout the ongoing reforms, amendments, protests, rebellions, upsets within the political system, the fundamentals of the system have not changed, right? So this system is about factions. Even though in the earliest formations of the country, they did not want parties or factions to form. They wanted every individual person to function as as a authority unto himself. So when I go and decide to vote and engage democracy, I don't go as any type of group, but as my own individual man and my own enlightened self-interest. So anyway, all that to say is, because of our distortion about politics, Black people are not able to exercise or take full advantage of our political potential in this country. And there is a lot of what I call political tantrums. And a political tantrum is when someone is discontent with the political system, but their responses or their conduct in response to the political system in no way repositions them to assert any level of power or authority within that system. I ain't vote no more. I'm going to vote for this obscure candidate, or I'm going to do this or do all these things that are acting out, but ultimately still serve the interest of power. And I think if African people in particular, or the working class voter as a whole, became more cold, distant, and calculating in relationship to the political system, they can extract more from the system. So that's kind of a setup, right? So we are politically impotent because we don't engage, we don't acknowledge the reality of politics, and we don't engage politics in a way that serves our interests. And we do not fully recognize or engage our power or our potential. Mm. What is all that noise?
I think you just go back.
Hold on. I gotta go alpha man. I'm sorry you're gonna have to observe or hear this. I'm really sorry, but I gotta go lay down the hammer.
Okay. So everybody, serious? I think BroDiallo's sons just got back, and
everything stop banging around and so, please try to you shouldn't have
to keep it down. And also I started all the questions.
Yeah, don't make me come back out there.
I started the questions though after BroDiallo is done talking.
Oh my gosh, can you believe it? Mm-hmm. We should have never moved it. We should have stayed in the old spot. Mm. If see that they did that on purpose. I learned.
Oh, they call you a hammer dad. Huh? They give me your nicknames out here.
I'm sorry you had to see that all over. That's how a man presides. I'm sure you lay down the hammer over there. Yeah, you won't look up. We won't make eye contact.
Yeah, but the other is like,
he's never gonna get
you. Always teasing
that
me.
Where were we?
Right.
Taking me off my square.
I mean, talking about the voting and the political prowess. Someone just asked about like the Democrats engaging the GOP and just allowing the GOP to just like basically steamroll.
Yeah, that's propaganda. Oh, the GOP just rolls over. You see, Prester John made an earlier comment that said the Democrats weren't weak. Remember?
Right.
I said, remember when I said the Democrats were weak? I wish you would start that comment. Now he's saying they roll over. Which is it, Prester? Oh, here it is. Oh, I found it. First he said, why do you think Democrats play weak while the GOP effectively runs roughshod over our country? And then you say, why don't the Democrats engage? Here's the reality of the situation. The Democrats are a neoliberal integrationist party. The Republicans are a right-wing theocratic fascist party. Neoliberalism creates the fertile soil for the growth of fascism, because neoliberalism has rhetoric of opportunity, equality, and justice while operating to preserve the status quo, which is concentration of wealth at the top and the further hyper exploitation of the masses and the resources, along with the ongoing maintenance and expansion of the empire. Whereas the Republicans, but in order to mobilize the base and get people to vote for them, they say, we will make concessions to you. We will let you use the bathroom that comports with your gender identity. We will preserve the reforms that allow for women to secure abortion, birth control, prenatal. We will make some concessions, from toxic government cheese to maintaining benefits. And so they make concessions, whereas the Republican says, we will not give shit to the unworthy people, starve and serve, right? And so the voting public keeps bouncing between these two capitalist, imperialist, racist, all the bad shit parties, in order to say, well, I'm going to glean some concessions from the Democrats, which is what the Democrats offer. We offer you some minor concessions that do not threaten the status quo. And the Republicans offer validation to their voters. I'm a white man. I'm a heterosexual. I'm a God-believing Christian. And everything, all the dumb shit you've been taught to believe because you're a dummy about yourself. I'm a self-made man. I don't owe anything. I'm an individual, and individualism. So the Republicans tell their voting base, we validate everything you believe. Whereas the Democrats say, I feel your pain and I'm sensitive. They're both fucking lying. They're both full of shit. But the Democrats, and this is why I'm answering your question, Preston. The Democrats, the ultimate goal of both parties, their primary goal is what? They exist. The number one thing they must do to exist as the party, what must they do? Just take a guess. Both political parties have one primary goal, that if they fail to pursue it, they cease to exist as a party. One thing. And that's not, I'll tell you what it's not. It's not adherence to the Constitution. It's not bringing forth legislation and policy to conserve its voters. And it's not adherence to local statutes, local or state constitutions either. So it's not adherence to the idea of democracy. It's not to represent their constituents. There's one thing that if the parties don't do, both parties, they will cease to exist.
Make money.
Thank you. Wow. Why do you act like you didn't raise money? Right? Yeah. And in order to raise money, where do you get money from? People who got it. Right. No, I'm not trying to trick you. You already know these answers. You just think I'm going to try to trick you. You're going to answer me and then I'm going to try to. No, they have to raise money. Mm-hmm. And they can only get money from people who got money. Right. Who got the money? CEOs, multinational corporation, foreign oligarchs, old money people. And these people who got the money, and when I say people, I mean flesh and blood man. I'm not a sovereign citizen. I'm talking about the literal flesh and blood people and multinational corporations who have all the rights of people. Apple has all the same rights you and I have. And if you and I get into a fight with Apple, we can go into court and fight against Apple, the corporation as a person. And that corporation can hire lawyers and can lobby and do all those things. They have all the rights people have. You know how corporations got rights? I mean, through the amendment that gave humanity and citizenships to enslaved Africans. Corporate personhood was grafted onto and grew out of the laws that defined enslaved Africans as citizens. So corporations got the same rights as Africans at the same time. Not at the same time. There was legislation, corporate person. And I think if you really want to, which we should do a show on corporate personhood and limited liability. I mean, we all talk about capitalism and we don't know how fucked up capitalism is. But I digress. What was I talking about? The monies, right? The political power getting money. So here's the problem why the Democrats seem weak and the Republicans seem strong. the rhetoric of the Democratic Party and the methodology and techniques for securing votes of the Democratic Party is inconsistent with their fundraising goals. The Democratic Party presents itself as one that serves minorities, persecuted minorities, Black people, migrants, queer people, disabled people, women. And women are the majority, but they call women, they just lump them in, women and minorities. They lump women, even though women, white women specifically, outnumber white men, and white women outnumber everybody else, but they get to play minority for some reason. That's another discussion on feminism. But women, they say, hey, we're going to fight for you. The corporations act and structure themselves in such a way where they have to exploit, target, and neglect the people. So their fundraising, the Democratic fundraising, is divergent from Democratic rhetoric, because Democrats have to both structure itself to raise the appropriate amount of funds, at the same time having pro or progressive rhetoric. The Republicans don't have that divergence. Republican rhetoric aligns with Republican fundraising. So they get to stand on business, and they seem less contradictory. They seem less, yes, we fight for business and we're pro-business and it's about business, and the lazy people and the queer, the demonic, gay people are demonic, Black people are lazy, immigrants are unworthy invaders. So that's why they seem on the surface, the Democrats don't seem to do anything, because and the more power prior, at one time, back when there was a lot more progressive legislation, the Democrats' earlier funding used to primarily come from unions and trial lawyers or litigators. Unions and litigators used to be the main source of funding for the Democratic Party. Why? Unions is pretty obvious, right? Representing the interests of unions. But here's the problem with the unions. Unions are racist. Unions are nationalist. The same sickness that infects the whole nation, racism and bloodlust that infects the whole nation, is present in unions. There was a time the union movement was founded by anarchists and capitalists. They were the first people to propose unions in this country. But the business and government interests purged the anarchists, the socialists, the communists out of the unions and say, hey, if the workers will shun the communists and shun the radicals, we will make some concessions. And instead of giving you ownership of the means of production, we will give you job security and scheduled raises. So the white working class traded liberation for job security, collective bargaining, and healthcare, and other little concessions. But we're going to maintain control of the means of production, and you will have no real power within the company. You will only have power to lobby or pressure the company, but no ownership for the workers. So anyway. Well,
Preston's asking more questions to say, so why do you always compel your audience to vote Democrats?
I don't. That's the easy question to answer. I don't always compel my audience to vote Democrat. I compel my audience to vote in their best interest as communities. As a community, I tell them to vote their interest. I tell them to be code distant and calculating. You don't vote for politicians, you vote for platforms and policies. After voting is the first step in engaging politics, not the end. It is the beginning. So you have to routinely stay engaged. And as he said, as Preston said, the weaker, quote unquote, party, the party that's more malleable and flip-floppy, is the Democrats. So in most situations, it is better to vote, lobby, and even fight against the Democrats. Because a lot of times in election cycles, you're voting for who you're going to fight against. You're voting for who you're going to be in the streets fighting, protesting, and trying to beat the shit out of. You get to choose your opponent. And you got BroDiallo standing here and Mike Tyson standing here. I don't know who, Deontay Wilder. You got me standing here, Deontay Wilder, and be like, you can't get out this room until you fight. Which one you gonna pick? Go ahead and say you. I won't be offended.
You know what? I'm scared of you.
No, you pick me. Maybe if it was a debate. Maybe if we were debating. Maybe if we were debating the historical political debate, me and Deontay Wilder, you pick Deontay Wilder. So everybody knows goddamn well because they say it all the time. If Kamala was elected and moving like Trump, she'd be in prison. She'd be impeached. If she committed one of the thousands of crimes, self-dealing, if Kamala was in office conducting herself the way that Trump is conducting himself, she could never. Obama could never. People were saying it all the time. If Obama did it, and it's true. There are a lot of black politicians in jail right now who got elected to office, from Detroit to Chicago to Louisiana, who got elected to office and tried to do what they saw the white politicians doing and got their asses locked up. Same thing in business.
Right.
Same thing in business. A lot of brothers get their MBAs, they go to Wall Street, they go into corporate America and start moving like the white boys, and they are under more scrutiny. Everybody knows black people, regardless of what power or status we have, operate under more scrutiny. As Claude Anderson said, Trump declared bankruptcy half a dozen times, left hundreds of contractors, beat them out of millions of dollars, unpaid debt. You missed a car payment and you can't rent an apartment from a slumlord on the south side if you got one missed car payment on your record. This man has half a dozen bankruptcies and thousands of contractors who went unpaid, and he gets to be president. We know the rules are different. So just in rational, cold, dissonant, calculating rationality, the neoliberals and the theocratic fascists are running for office. You're going to have to fight them motherfuckers no matter who's in office. Which one of them is more vulnerable to people in opposition? Now I'll let you say.
Yeah. Well, I think Preston is just a grifter at this point. Preston.
And I don't believe in that lesser or more evil shit. Again, to me, that's more fucking. This ain't religion. This is motherfucking smash, as Norman Goldman, the lawyer and political strategist, said. Politics is smash mouth football. Fuck the rules. It's about what power what you can extract. Black people should be engaged in politics for extraction, resource extraction, harm reduction, and subversion. That's all we go to politics for. Liberation ain't on the ballot. And if it ain't on the ballot, then what are you going to vote for? There are certain things black people got. You notice civil rights in this country was never put on a fucking ballot. The end of Jim Crow was not voted on. It was never on the ballot. Because if they put it on the ballot, the white majority would have voted to preserve the racial hierarchy every single time, including today. They're saying if the Republicans get enough governorships and governor seats, they can call for a constitutional convention, open up the Constitution, and delete all the rights that black people have fought and died and bled for. Right? And all the amendments. And they're doing it already through executive orders and other means and on the state level legislature. So you can only get what you can fight for. You can only hold what you can fight for. And evil or not evil, gives a fuck. You going to the government for good? The fact that you think there could be anything lesser evil. It's about extracting resources and exerting power and will. And the only way to do that is if you can move as a unit and move consistently, if you can reward those who act in your interest and you can sanction those who act against your interest. That's the way it's always been. I have a friend who was elected to an office in the city he was born and raised in. He was loved. He's not a friend, an acquaintance, a former partner, an asshole. But I knew this asshole who was elected to public office. And he was born and raised in the city where he was elected to public office, right? And When he went and he looked at his office and he brought the picture of his wife and kids and put it on the desk, and he put up a little red, black, and green flag up on his shelf and decorated his office and sat down and put his name out on the placard on the door and sat down his first day of office, somebody walked in and was like, okay, we have representative from the Hmong community who are here to speak with you. He's like, the who? The Hmong community. It's like, who the fuck is that? Well, they're in your districts. They're prominent men. He's like, I've been living and growing up in this community my whole goddamn life and never heard of Hmong or knew there was a Hmong community, let alone a Hmong community that was able to send a representative in and be the first people I got to sit down and make assurances to. Everybody talks, oh, the Jews are so powerful. The Jews are so powerful. They make up less than 2% of the overall U.S. population, but exert political power well beyond that. It's because they are willing. This is a struggle. It is a fight. As I was saying, we never voted for civil rights. We got that shit in the streets. And they ran to their local legislatures and rewrote these laws and made reforms because they had no option to. They didn't do it out of love because we got some good people in office. And that's how we got Social Security, because we put some good people in office. We got the 8-hour workday and OSHA requirements and an FDA and an EPA because we voted for good. No, it was evil motherfuckers in office when they all evil. Fine. You vote for good or lesser evil, more evil. You vote for who is more vulnerable. Who are you better positioned to move? But we want to be, number one, we want to be pure, talking about evil, less evil, more evil. The discussion is who's more vulnerable? What is our agenda? What is our political agenda, our social agenda? What resources can we bear? What consequences can we level against those who act against our political interests? What rewards do we have to offer? Or what do we have to trade for those who serve our political interests? Ain't got it. Good, evil, it's irrelevant. Our ultimate goal is to bring this whole shit down. And I always say, if you are a guerrilla marching through the sewers in an active rebellion, combat against this system, then don't even think about the politics. You've moved beyond, you've elevated beyond politics. But if you understand that you need to resist this system, but you are still embedded and vulnerable and trying to navigate this system and sustain yourself in this system, you better get in the fucking politics. It's not even that, but we've had leaders that have misled us. The Nation of Islam went from telling black people we don't need to vote because the savior is going to come and deal with America, and to now that the cult leader is endorsing candidates. We've always been pawns in this system, even when we claim we don't vote or we don't support either party or say they ain't they just the same. That's so fucking stupid. Ain't no difference between Democrats or Republicans. Even those people are the most manipulated people. The people who throw these political tantrums are the most manipulated in the political system.
Because ultimately that's what your oppressor want, right? For you to not have that power, or just for you to not be able to control whatever fates, like you said, just for you to just chuck it up in the air and just say, well, our vote does not matter. Because I know a lot of people too that do say, well, I don't want to vote because I know our vote doesn't matter, vote doesn't count. In Nigeria, right? We know the corruption going on now, like like you're gonna vote, your vote doesn't count. And instead of people to still like stand the ground and say, well, we're going to come out in numbers, they're going to just say, well, it's not going to count anyway, so let's just...
Can I tell you something, though, about these people? You know, you're cheering for the Chicago Bears or the Chicago Bulls doesn't affect the outcome either. And not only that, people be fully engaged. They following the stats of the players. I just had my homeboy, like a brother to me. I need to stop talking reckless. See, I say shit about people and then I got to go home and face them. I had a homeboy who just posted on social media that his favorite beloved team just drafted some wide receiver. He's like, yes, my team just drafted this wide receiver. I ain't going to say no names because he's a G and I don't want to provoke him. Like, why you talking shit, dog? But y'all can say it. That's my dog. Rip, my homie Rip, who's a big fan of the Chiefs, just said that the Chiefs have drafted some wide receiver. That ain't got shit to do with shit. It's entertaining. I won't deny it doesn't entertain me personally, but I know people can be entertained by things that don't necessarily entertain me. I respect that. But how people engage it, like I said, the people go a little too far. For my I just don't understand. I don't think it's that much. But I digress. So that shit matters less. So people got time. No, I don't have time to follow all that. If people looked at it as sport, it's about strategy. And if your team won the championship last year, that don't guarantee them the championship next year. And you got to maneuver, you got to manipulate, you got to come in, but people stay engaged and they stay doing. So you should only expect from the government what the government is capable of giving you. Anything that you want or need that the government isn't capable of giving you, you have to go above, below, around, or through. That's when you take it to the streets. So you can get certain legislation, you can get certain regulations, you can get certain allotments from the government, and that's pretty much it. And you have an opportunity to hand select your opposition. Because I voted for Brandon Johnson. I'm gonna vote for him again. But you don't think I'll be out there fucking calling out his administration? I didn't vote for a leader. I didn't vote for a savior. I didn't vote for a Christmas list of legislation. There's some shit he's done that I think is absurd, and I'll call it out. I voted for a bureaucrat that has certain obligations to the city and has certain limitations on his exertion of power. And after I vote for that bureaucrat, I have to organize with other community members to make sure that he stays within the limitations of this power and he meets the obligations to the people. There ain't no emotion to it, even though I like the politician or not. Like I said, I had friends and ex-friends who have run for office successfully in school board and everything. And I've sat at their house organizing, designing flyers and collecting signatures. I've been engaged in politics. You're a fool not to. It's like I said, if Trump understood he had to be ingrained in politics in order to operate his corrupt business, you have a business, these black business gurus that don't appropriately and intelligently navigate or tell us how to engage the political system, because the political system is what makes the business possible. The regulations, the printing of the currency, the enforcement of laws, the issuance of penalties. And black people really think, forget about politics, we need to make money. Forget about politics, we need to do business. That tells you somebody that is either deceptive or stupid, or deceptive or ignorant.
Well, John is coming for you to say Brandon Johnson is the worst mayor since Daly.
Oh, so that didn't apply to what's that Jewish guy name? Lori Lightfoot. But who's John? John is anonymous. John is some weird white dude.
Emanuel?
Huh?
Ron Emanuel? Are you talking about the one?
Rahm Emanuel. Okay. Rahm Emanuel and Lori Lightfoot on our necks. That's just saying random shit. I'll tell you, John.
Well, I mean, John is saying, what do you think of the mayor doing all the things for illegals?
I fully support it. First of all, I don't believe in illegals. Here's my position on that.
Okay.
You ain't black, John. Here's my position on that. No just, intelligent person respects the territorial integrity of an empire. Can you imagine being a slave on a plantation, being whipped, being exploited? And while you out in the field picking cotton on the master's plantation, you see some people climbing the master's fence and sneaking onto his plantation grounds, and you get mad as a slave, saying, why that man coming up on the plantation? This here, master's territory. What you doing sneaking on? That's what, remember when Malcolm X said, a house Negro will fight harder to put out the fire on the plantation than the master? How can you be black complaining about people coming in this goddamn country for any reason from any part of the world? As if before they got here, we weren't at the bottom. We were here back when the country was not a country, back when it was a colony. Before the preamble to the Constitution or the Bill of Rights, before any of that shit was formed, we were here in shackles. And you want to complain about who can come and who can leave? You cannot complain about the territorial integrity of your nation if your nation is violating the sovereignty of every other country on this planet. Military bases, military incursion, the expulsion of the highest level of contaminated soil, contaminated water, contaminated air, highest level of carbon emissions per capita. I wish the blood clot I would sit here and call somebody illegal. The United States is illegal. When did the white man pay for this land? This is stolen land. What the? Any black person.
John says it supports ICE, and it says it is illegal.
Exactly, and that's a black man. And that's a black man. Where's my mod?
Right.
Exactly. So no, I don't care about quote unquote illegals. And my position is, and here's the thing that's really stupid. Here's the only illegal. I don't care about illegal immigrants. I care about the invaders, the white invaders. If you got more smoke for migrants than you do for invaders, then you have been, I hate this term, but you were part of the matrix. But yes, many of them come here with anti-black sentiments. That's true. But you notice the people that complain most about the anti-black people coming here, that's anti-black sentiment as well. Anti-blackness is a given, but aligning with racist and fascist is not going to help you with anti-blackness. So you hustling backwards.
Right.
I always admit, man, he must be new to the show. That's a white man. That's somebody cosplaying.
Right. Jerry, he's saying I'm black. I'm black.
He's not black.
Let's see.
But have we even gotten? I haven't even started.
I know
what time it is.
You know, but
it's almost time to go too.
It's one trend. Okay. Let's see. Is there anything else you think you can hit on the list?
I don't know. What do you see there?
Because this is Presto's fault.
Huh?
This was Presto's fault, right?
Yeah.
And
everything's his fault.
He kind of derailed us. And I called him a grifter for a reason. Because when you were talking about
who'd you call a grifter?
Presto.
I'm rubbing off on you.
And he hit me back in the chat. He was like, why do you call people that don't agree with you a grifter? And I said, this is my response to Presto. It's because when you were talking about Kamala, if she was in office doing what Trump is doing, she would have been like thrown out of there. And Presto said that's not true. People are gonna protect. He said, let me read what it said. I'm trying to find it. He says that's nonsense because Kamala will be protected because she's running the ball for Wall Street.
Yes.
But if she's doing exactly what Trump is doing right now, I don't think she would still be in office.
She would not. She would not. And you can just we don't have to speculate. We can go back to Obama's administration. Obama had a pretty respectable again, I'm not a Obama supporter, but if I could say nothing else, like the best thing I could say about any politician is that they're a competent bureaucrat, right? So as far as the treaty with Iran that he negotiated, for instance, it was a multilateral treaty, meaning several nations were co-signers. And so it allowed for Iran to enrich uranium for the purposes of generating energy and other internal non-war or non-weapons related enrichment of uranium. and the uranium coming into Iran would be regulated. Iran would open up for regular inspections of its facilities. So I think Iran punked out. But Obama had negotiated a pretty comprehensive treaty with Iran to quell and reduce some of the tensions. And he, which is even more important, gave Iran back billions of dollars that had been stolen from the country, of their overseas investment that had been confiscated, i.e. stolen by European and U.S. financial institutions. They were holding, they stole their money. And he was like, listen, y'all can enrich uranium, but all you have to do is not attack your neighbors, which Iran has not attacked its neighbors. The only conflict Iran had with its neighbor was the Iran-Iraq war that the United States funded and supported both sides. That was a proxy war of the Cold War. But beyond that, Iran has not threatened or attacked or invaded any of its neighbors, unlike Israel, which has not only attacked and bombed all of its neighbors, it has incurred and stolen Golan Heights, stolen territory from its neighbor. So anyway, if you look at the DNC and the RNC, and they're documented, like, we can speculate what Kamala would or wouldn't have done. But when we look at the documented, which one has the better history? And so anybody that says that there's no difference between how Obama dealt with Iran versus Trump tore up the treaty.
All right.
He tore it up in violation of international law. That's an impeachable offense. That's an impeachable offense unto itself, because the treaties take precedent over the Constitution.
Well, I'm just asking, I'm telling the viewers right now, like, if they have questions, if you have questions at this point, I guess we might just take questions, because there's no time for us to go over like the topic of the day anyway.
Well, I guess we'll come back to the path to power.
All right, we can do that next week. So
all right, let's go to questions.
Right. So this is one question. Say, how does Princeton study that proves the U.S. is an oligarchy play into your analysis about supporting the Dems on the federal level?
I don't support the fucking Dems. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Can I pause for a prayer here?
Okay, let's do it.
What is that thing? Oh, Lord, don't let me be misunderstood. Nina Simone. Lord, this is your son. I'm coming to you. You know why I'm coming to you. You know what I'm going to ask, and you already know whether or not you're going to answer. So that's my prayer. Amen. Okay, now what was that? They make me take a knee. I don't support the Dems. I support the interest of my community, my local community, and my national community, and my global community. My community, first and foremost, is African people, paying race first. After race, ideology. After ideology, class. So when I go to vote, I vote in the interest of race, my class, and my ideology. I don't support the Democrats. It's just at this epoch in history, if I was around during Frederick Douglass time, like Frederick Douglass, I'd be all rolled up with the fucking Republicans and trying to maneuver with the fucking Republicans. Like Martin Luther King's father, like my great grandfather, Sonics Bowie, who was a Republican, because that was the party of Lincoln. But then after the New Deal, and the Democrats wanted to be the working man's party, and most of us are broke and poor. And even though every dollar that was given to white people in the New Deal, 25 cents or less was spent on black folks. But the deal, so it is not the Republicans. I will vote against the Republicans. I mean, I will vote against the Democrats in a heartbeat, gladly, enthusiastically. I vote green. I voted for independent. I'm leaning towards an independent for state, for my district's next state senator. So I vote Democrat when it is in the best interest, whether there are policies or positions or an opponent that I think is more vulnerable. Okay. But when you say that, these people who are indoctrinated to think only in terms of Democrat or Republican, and within Democrat or Republican, they just think these are two monstrous monolithic parties. And they can't understand. And that's what I say. The white folks, when they look at black people, they understand all of our nuances, idiosyncrasies, and all of our macro and micro divisions. I say this all the time. If you were a white intelligence agent, whether you were working for the CIA, FBI, if you are a person who is influencing power or exercising power in the white world, and you walk into a conference room or into a meeting and say there ain't no difference, all blacks are the same, they would immediately fire you. You don't think they understand the difference between the Yoruba and a Khan, the Hutus and the Tutsis, the Luo and the Kikuyu? You don't think they understand the differences and divides and divisions between black Muslims and black Christians, or even amongst the black Protestants, the black Jehovah's Witness, the black Anglicans? You don't think they understand the various differences and overlaps and divergence amongst all these various groups of black people in the same damn household? They understand the difference between the black husband and the black wife. They wouldn't look at a single family household, in a black family, and say, I know they're all in that same house. They all got the same last name, live under the same roof, and eat dinner there. They're all the same. We have to understand the differences and divergence, internal conflicts, the internal strength and vulnerabilities, the trajectories of both parties together and individually, if you're really exercising power. But if you just want to throw a tantrum and say, Daddy bad, Santa Claus didn't bring me what I wanted this election, no reparations under the tree. If you want to come at it like that, oh, Democrats, it don't make no difference. You're not interested in securing power, and you're not interested in challenging power. You just have what Michael Parenti called a liberal complaint. You don't have a radical analysis. A liberal complaint is both parties work against us. Neither party is good. A radical analysis says, where are the vulnerabilities? Where are the choke points? Where can I insert for disruption, harm reduction, extraction, cold, distant, and calculating? I know this system ain't gave us nothing. Everything we do, we have to get, sometimes through protest, sometimes through rebellion, sometimes through strategic support, sometimes through strategic withdrawal. That's politics. But we have not learned to play politics in some areas. The black voting population can be 80% of the Democratic Party. And they are still just, instead of taking power. There's a big difference between lobbying power and taking and exercising power. I've worked with a black organization that was openly, unapologetically black, and they took over the school board, the city council, and extracted resources beyond and built one of the largest black African-centered independent school districts in the country at the time. And they did it with less money than the white people who were fighting against them, because they had organization, and they would sit there and do political education. They would show up as city councilmen. And sometimes they lock arms with the white politician over a black politician, and the community be like, y'all with this, y'all supporting this white man instead of the black mayor and all that shit. They were there not because they thought the Democrats would save them, but they were there because they knew the Democrats were manipulated and vulnerable. And so when they would run independent, but if it was for a larger office and then they had to garner a larger amount of support, they just sign up Democrat. No love lost, but somebody walk in, oh, I voted, and you too emotionally invested. How can you vote Kamala? I don't. I mean, like, where you play with my politicians, you play with my emotions. Man, this system, we are against the system. We want to subvert the system. Before we can fully subvert the system, we have to first understand the system, learn how to navigate the system. And then we have to begin to erode and undermine the system. People think tomorrow, one day, we all gonna wake up and it's gonna be revolution. When revolution is a process, it's not an event. And sometimes that process can be multi-generational. And it again, I go to certain areas and I see people where black people are just a fraction of the population. Like in Kansas City, shout out to the National Black United Front Kansas City chapter, where the black people are a fraction of the population and wield immense civic power, and they're doing their civic duty. And then places with huge black population. When I first moved to New York City, it was so black. In 1992, I moved to New York City. And I'd never seen just such a mass ocean of black people. But then somebody took me aside and was like, oh, them ain't black people. That's a Trinidadian. That's a Jamaican. You know, that over there, that's a Dominican. He's not black. That's a Haitian. You Black American. You should be over there. I'm like, the fuck? And I'm like, the cops don't fucking, you're like, oh, look at that Dominican. Let's pull him over. Look at that Ghanaian. Look at that yard man. Look at that Kingstonian. Let's beat him up. They say one word for all of us. As Dr. John Henry Clark said, the racist New York City cab driver is a better Pan-African than most black people. Because when he's driving his cab down, now, and this is probably with Uber and shit, don't really register like it used to. But he said you drive up and down the streets like all them is niggas, and I ain't giving none of them a ride. Even the rich niggas couldn't get cabs. I know that for a fact. I knew wealthy black people who couldn't catch a cab in Midtown Manhattan during rush hour with $1 million in their bank account, millions of dollars, and couldn't hail a cab in Midtown Manhattan while some junkie heroin with the needle still in his arm white boy to catch a cab from Midtown to the Village without and stop.
Yeah.
And that's what that used to be. They said that's the litmus test. Dick Gregory used to say, oh, you want to say you ain't black? Go to Midtown and catch hell a cab. If you don't know who you are, if you think you native, indigenous, if you think you anything but a black man or an African, go to Midtown and try to hail a cab, and we'll see. Tell you where you stand.
Right.
So
I'll lump these two questions together because it's kind of like the same thing. They're asking, like, someone says, what do you recommend for getting things going on the grassroots level? And trying to find the second question. Oh dang, I can't find the other question. Okay, and the other one is they're asking like what are some pillars of good grassroots movements that you would suggest?
the first and foundation, ideology is everything. Ideology is much different than beliefs, or ideology is rooted in a worldview and social theory. The problem with us is we think that we can just do good and work hard. I love my people and I want what's best for my people. And that should be enough to bring us together. But it is not. And I know a lot of people who sincerely love our people and want what's best for our people, but that is inadequate. We need to conceptualize collectively what is the nature of power, what is the nature of human connection to the environment, ecosystems, and the human connection to one to the other. What should be the motivation and the source for those connections? Once that is figured out, then you can say, define who you're fighting with, define who you're fighting for, and define what you need in the immediate and what you need in the long term. You can define clearly who is your enemy, who is your ally, and who is a little bit of both. Because there are no permanent allies, there are only permanent interests. Mm-hmm. We fail on the ideological scale. We fail on the ideological scale. We can out-organize, we can out-fight, we can shed more blood and raise more fists. But as Del Jones said, the white man is more deadly at the negotiation table than he is on the battlefield. Because one thing white folks, that they ain't got nothing else. That whiteness, that concept, that immaterial concept of I'm a white man. Even white women have that, I'm a white man. Even white women understand. Who's better? Who's more worthy to rule? Who's more worthy to dominate? We have lost that. China, we look at China and be like, man, China is so powerful. China is so assertive. China is so well organized and developed. But you never hear anybody talk about Sinocentrism. The rise of China and the Chinese Communist Party and the Maoist is rooted in Sinocentrism. we had a strong push for Afrocentrism. It was defined as a threat. As a black person during Jim Crow, you could go all over this country calling the white man a devil, like Malcolm X, these white devils, and you calm down on this system all you want and move relatively unscathed. But the moment you go to Ghana and start talking to brothers and sisters in Ghana, once you go to Indonesia and you start comprehending the international scale of imperialism and how white racism is not limited to the Jim Crow South. It's not limited to America. It is infused in all areas of human relations, as Neely Fuller, the late white domination, white hegemony, the pathological, psychopathic concept of whiteness has inundated and infused all aspects of reality. And we think we can gather up some aspects. Well, I love my people. I'm a Christian. I love my people. And I'm a Muslim. I love my people, but I'm a capitalist. We think that we can grasp some of these things, material and these material resources and these immaterial concepts without purging them of whiteness, which is step one, and then infusing them with Africanity and African consciousness, which is step two. But we don't understand, we don't value that. That's why, I mean, you know, when I first moved to Chicago, I was in these streets every day. I'm not even going to run down my track record or my pedigree or my organizational resume, but I kept hitting a wall because ideologically. And that's what they really care about. I say this all the time. I'm going to say it one more time and never say it again. They didn't form a counter militancy program. They didn't have a counter Black rage program. They didn't even have a counter weapons program. They had a counter intelligence program. They wanted to disrupt, not necessarily our organizations. We still got organizations. It's new Black Panthers popping up every week. Black people got more guns now than anybody. I mean, Black people have been indoctrinated and adopted the white man's bloodlust, and this is many Black gun nuts. I go over some of my relatives' house and they got all these fucking guns all over the fucking place. So we got guns. We got organizations that some of them still run around, white devils and all talking all that shit, Black separatists and reparations movement. And hell, we even now got Black Nazis and Black ultra conservatives. They don't give a fuck because we don't have a Pan-African revolutionary ideology. So no matter how pissed off you are at this system, no matter how outraged you are at injustice, you don't have the conceptual resources to mount resistance. We have very limited options. Everybody that claims to be discontent with the way things are is just handpicking another component of whiteness, trying to coat capitalism in chocolate. We're gonna be Black capitalists. We're gonna do business like Cuddly Mike, or Black right-wing conservatism like Dr. Fubar. We're gonna have strong Black families and have a school to train up alpha males and a Black man to be every freedom fighter organization, just about, no matter how militant they are, is just a chocolate coated version of what the fuck white people are doing. Because what COINTELPRO did after the assassinations, after the exile, after the false incarceration, after the infiltration and bad jacketing, they wanted to disrupt our very conceptualization of what is possible. It's people out here who think, how can we organize? How can we do anything if we don't have money? Cash rules everything around me. And I say, if you really believe cash rules everything around you, who rules the cash? Who prints and mints the coin? Because cash don't make itself, it don't print itself, it don't package and distribute itself. Somebody, a physical person in a physical location, is creating that cash out of thin air. So if you think cash rules everything around you, what does the person who creates the cash do around you? And it's the same thing with everything else. People think they can't feed themselves without grocery stores, as if food comes from grocery stores instead of from the soil. And everything that creates food is not only abundant, it's reproducing. You need soil, sun, water, and human labor. That's where food comes from, the combination of those things, which are everywhere.
All right.
So we have to and I wrote an essay that I said, the greatest thing we lost under colonialism and enslavement was the African imagination. If I could bring back anything to Africans that we lost in the Ma'afa, it wouldn't be the gold and diamonds or the land or our original names and languages. It would be our capacity to imagine a world independent of capitalism, white hegemony, and all this in Western religions, or these male chauvinist murder cults, Islam and Christianity. To see a world, how it operates, and conceptualize how to construct the world and our human relationships and connections independent.
All right. Well, I'm pretty sure everybody understood everything you're saying. I was just saying the
no, they're just gonna say Diallo's a Democrat. He told us to vote Democrat.
See, and that's the thing too. That's why I call Prester a grifter. And this is exactly what he's just been saying in the chat. It was like, well, Diallo discourages third party, which is really revealing. Diallo talked down on the Greens. But I
don't talk down on the Greens.
But
I can talk down on the Greens, stupid ass motherfuckers. I can talk down on the punk ass Greens. You want to talk about a grift? Where's Jill Stein? We'll see her in 3 more years.
Well,
you let Jill Stein. And the thing that really pissed me off is that a white person who has no chance of taking power come and promise you the world. Come and promise you the world. I vote Green all the time, but the Green Party is a vanity project. They don't operate or organize themselves for real power. And I say this as a Green voter and someone who has lobbied, organized, campaigned for Green Party. I'm a fucking tree-hugging vegan. Of course, I want a green, carbon-free economy. But they not doing shit. They lose cycle after cycle. They're addicted to losing. Who cares how good or right you are if you don't take power? And here's the thing about white people. When a white man wants to do evil, he's fucking Rambo. When white people want to do evil, they're Rambo. When white people want to do good, they're Mr. Rogers. Won't you be my neighbor? Why can't we get no good Rambos? Why can't we get good white Rambo? As soon as a white person says, hey, I'm not going to be racist, I'm not going to be sexist, I'm going to be anti-capitalist, they forget how to do espionage. They forget how to do assassination. They forget all the shit that brought white people to power. When a white person claims they want to be good, they forget how to be white. And that's some bullshit. That's because they're not serious. Now, I know where the fuck John Brown remembered how to be white. But you had William Lloyd Garrison. You had all these white abolitionists. You had all these white abolitionists sitting in these hallowed halls of academia, denouncing the evils of bondage, smoking on ivory pipes, the evils of bondage. Now, when a white man talk about taking land from the natives, he know how to do violence. When a white man talk about maintaining Africans in violence, he know how to do violence. When a white man talks about freeing the Negro, all of a sudden, well, we must negotiate. So, first of all, white people, when you come to the light, when you join the light side of the force, don't leave your lightsaber. Even Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's an evil, sinister, horrible person. But the moment she decided, I don't want to be MAGA, I don't want to support the pedophile party, did she stay in power and vote against it? She resigned her position. When white folks want to do good, even when they want to be halfway crooks, even when they want to do 1 or 2 good things and maintain all the other evil, they resign. I resign my position in protest. Why don't fuck you stay in your position of power and exercise power against evil as opposed to resigning to protest evil? Man, yeah, we keep falling for white folks' tricks. Now, I'm telling you, white people, I know there's good white people out there. Luigi, I know there's good white people. But, you know, y'all gotta, and that's another thing white people are good at, spreading their word everywhere. You come in here from Africa speaking English, you know, the Queen's English. Black people ain't never been to the Holy Roman Empire, ain't never set foot on, and ain't never been to the Vatican, don't even know who fucking the only Martin Luther they know is Martin Luther King. They don't even know Martin Luther, but they Protestants and Catholics. So the white man knows how to infect other people, with their ideas. So I'm saying white communist, white anti-fascist, white anarchist, white ecologist. Keep that part of whiteness that allows y'all to do. Don't surrender all your whiteness. Talk about white privilege. Fuck white privilege. Bring some of that white pathology over here to the left. I'm sick of all these good white leftists. Bring me some sinister white leftists to fight against the sinister right wingers.
Okay, BroDiallo, this is the last question.
Last one. Last out of here.
One. All right. So they've been asking about the Princeton study. And this is the thing. This is asking to say the question is, if we know the US is an oligarchy, why vote for a bogus party on the federal level?
Because Black people have the highest rate of type 2 diabetes per capita. So one party says we're going to make diabetes medication affordable. And the other party says we're going to give the pharmaceutical companies carte blanche to charge what they want. We're going to do, both other parties are going to do all the same evil shit. One party in Illinois says we're going to put a moratorium. Black people are over-policed. We get the harshest prosecution, the longest prison sentences, and more likely to be sentenced to death row for the exact same crimes as white people. One party says, I'm going to put a moratorium on the death penalty. The other party says, I'm going to sign as every single death warrant that comes to my death and fast track executions. Now, other than those two things, all other parties, there are opportunities. I grew up as a child pumping leaded gas. And my mother would pull up in whatever hoopty she was able to get for that week and say, hey, give me $5 on leaded. And as a young child, I would get out and go grab a pump and pump leaded gas into the car. There is no more. My son has never pumped leaded gas because of government regulation. The ozone layer is reconstituting itself because of government policies. I worked in healthcare for a long time as a radiographer. And there are regulations from OSHA to HIPAA. You are subjected to the government whether you fucking like it or not. The Trump administration just reinstituted free and open usage of glyphosate, which had been limited and reduced by previous administration. Sometimes George Bush signed and created one of the largest ecological preserves in the world when he was president. And there are some animals that would have gone fully extinct in certain ecosystems that would be beyond collapse right now, sterilized portions of the ocean, if not for legislation signed by George Bush. Governments have the power. That's why we fight them. As Kwame Ture said, we don't fight people without power. We only conflict with those who have power. The government has power. The government has certain choke points and vulnerabilities. I think within the next election cycle, we can bring back abortion rights and reinstitute abortion rights. We have to. Black women are 5 times. Black women are 5 times more likely to die in childbirth than white women. And the death doesn't account for diabetes, postpartum depression, and all the other ill effects potential for pregnancy. And to force Black women into giving birth when they do not, against their will, is literally giving them a death sentence. So there are certain individual bureaucrats that will fight for abortion rights. And there are other ones who want to further restrict them. So I'm not voting for liberation because the government cannot give us liberation. That's something we have to take. But the government can get the lead out the fucking paint and the lead out the gasoline. The government can subsidize healthcare and housing. It has done it before. The government can forgive loans and expand access to education, formal education and training. So that's what I vote for. There's nothing romantic or sexy. They're not going to make a movie about the Illinois Water Reclamation District. These aren't sexy things. But when we need to understand our civic life, our civic duty, and civic engagement. I only encourage us to move politically and extract from the political system what we can get, what is practical and realistic, cold, distant, and calculating. Beyond that, I tell the people, take to the streets. Coerce, fight, resist. I don't understand. And going to vote I've voted in every election and it's never pacified me. I've gotten food stamps. I've gotten Medicaid. I grew up on food stamps and Medicaid. Back when they used to mail the booklet of food stamps to the door, and I'd run and everybody, the first, the second, and third day of the month in Kansas City, those mailboxes in my housing projects, everybody was posted up. And I'm happy for them. And those food stamps that allow my grandmother to adopt me and my two siblings and raise us, because one parent's incarcerated, the other parent's addicted. I'm grateful though for those food stamps. Do you think it garnered any love for me to the government, any loyal for me to the government? The government should have, my only position on food stamps is we should have got more and it should be universal. Anybody who wants them. Yeah. No means testing. Mm-hmm. I think childcare should be universal. There are certain politicians that will work and lobby to give childcare vouchers and all that other shit. But if you ain't taking, but let me tell you something about these motherfuckers. Like, yeah, forget the Democrats. Many of these middle class, well positioned, they own their house, they own their car, they don't have any student debt, they're not on welfare, they have insurance. They sit on their high horse, their high leftist progressive horses. Because in reality, many of these people online, you see taking these high and mighty positions on politics, their lives don't change much from one administration to the next. They're not transgender. They're not queer. They're not women of birthing age that will be forced to carry a pregnancy. So they can sit there and say, well, I don't agree with her position on Israel. I don't agree with her position on Israel either. I've been anti-Zionist my entire life, and we need to stop. But guess what? We're not going to be, just like we couldn't vote for civil rights and we couldn't vote for an end to Jim Crow. We had to get it in the streets. Reparations and Zionism aren't on the ballot because both parties support Zionism. So we have to oppose Zionism. Shout out to Cole Pink and Medea Benjamin. So certain things, you got to get it out the mud. You got to get it in the streets. You got to get it from the streets. But just because you got to fight for something in the streets don't mean you can't vote for what you want in the booth. You can't do both. Because at the same time, multinational corporations seek to undermine and weaken the government regulation over them. They also fight for subsidies from the government. So you can kick the government in the shin and pick its pockets at the same time if you're properly organized. And I don't believe this thing where people, and a lot of people believe suffering produces rebellion. Suffering does produce discontent, but our rage is irrelevant if our rage is not filtered through radical analysis and mass organization. They don't care about your rage because what do you do when you get mad? I'm mad at the Dems. I'm going to become a Republican. I'm mad at the Dems and the Republicans. I'm not going to vote. I'm mad at the Dems and the Republicans, and I'm going to become a libertarian. I'm mad at the Republicans, so I'm going to vote for a grifter. Talk about a grifter like Jill Stein, who promised black people reparations knowing goddamn well. I promise you if she ever got elected. And that comes every 4 years with the same fucking strategy. If I lost 2 elections in a row employing the same strategy, if nothing else, I'm going to come to the drawing board and say, this is how we approach it next time. But if somebody coming to lose every time on purpose, they got another agenda besides governance.
Yeah. Well, okay. This is gonna be the last question, but I promise.
No, you said okay.
I know.
We already over time,
It's
man.
been almost 2 hours. So this is the last question. Are you gonna run for office? Because someone is asking. They said, will Diallo run for political office? Why or why not?
Because I'm not a popular person. Nobody likes me. That's why not. Especially in Chicago. I don't get no love in Chicago. I used to, but the longer I stay in this city, the less love I get. You know, my dance card is empty. I used to get invited out to speak and all these engagements. So my approach, you know, and I'm not adverse to it. I worked on political campaigns. I've written up political platforms. I've advised on policy. I've advised from here. I just, you know, reviewed for a guy running against AIPAC Shakur. It's a brother running against AIPAC, an anti-Zionist candidate on the East Coast. And I reviewed his policy platform, and I told him, gave him my feedback for free, which I used to get paid to do that shit. But I'm not against it, but I don't like vanity projects and I don't like protest candidates. So if I ever run, I would run to win, and I don't see any viable path. But I back politicians. People call me. I had one brother call me. He was running for office and he wanted me to run his campaign. I'm like, sure. And then he called me 2 days later and was like, oh, my opponent just dropped out the race. I'm going to be the only one on the ballot. Thanks, but no thanks. So people use you, man, you know. I don't think he used. Shout out. I'm glad he won. He's a good brother. He's a competent bureaucrat. Shout out to Boykin. A good brother. But so anyway, long story short is I don't run for office because I don't see a path to victory. But believe you me, if there was a path to victory, realistically, I'd run and fucking get in office and make the motherfuckers have to drag me out. Because like Wise Intelligence said, I ain't turning down nothing but my collar. Power is power.
Yeah.
So, you know, anyway.
Well, all right. It's been 2 hours. The questions just keep flooding in, and it's like I just can't ask every single question. There's so many questions here.
Where's James? Who want to be here, James? Okay.
Yeah. We got some trolls and some.
Yeah. You know, listen. I'm all for people disagreeing or even dissing me or mocking me for having one nice shirt. Like I can't have nice things, but I don't go for racism or misogyny or threats of violence. That's the only thing that'll get you banned from my chat. And spamming the chat, of course.
Yeah.
Should we just do a straight Q&A next week? Because we didn't get to one point. We didn't get to nothing on this here list. We're not one thing. And you said you would come here and help keep everything on track.
But I mean, we gotta
broken promises.
We gotta give the people what they want. Like this is just asking. Look, there's still more questions coming in. We can't. It's 2 hours already. All right.
Yeah. Time to wrap it up.
All right.
All right. So I appreciate y'all. We'll be back next Monday. No, I got a trip coming up. Yeah. I'm flying out east. So
no show next week?
No, it's not next week. I'm trying to tell you well ahead of time.
Okay.
Be responsible.
Okay.
But no, it's next month.
Okay. All right.
So, but I'll show you the day. So yeah, there will be a Monday. You have to do this by yourself.
Okay.
Well, I'll leave you a key. You can sit right here.
All right. Yeah, Brittany's saying, well, take the questions down for next week. And then we take the questions down for next week, and then next week comes, and then more questions flood in, and it's like, all right.
Yeah. But I appreciate it, man.
Right.
I appreciate it.
Right.
I appreciate the love. Oh, speaking of the love, like, share, subscribe. You can support the BroDiallo broadcast. Going across your screen right now is ways you can support. If you don't have the material means,
right,
you can always help us in the algorithm by like, sharing, subscribe, share the BroDiallo broadcast with your friends, enemies, lovers, haters, participators, and your imitators.
We got Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all of it. TikTok.
So we all over the at Diallo Kenyatta across the socials.
And thanks for our super stickers. And we're supposed to also have the super chat.
Oh, I was supposed to, yeah.
Right. I think maybe that should be the strategy because there's so many questions coming in. I can't have all the questions. So maybe if you want to ask questions, you should use the super chat. Maybe that.
But I'm a communist. Yeah. So I want to give equal weight to the to the freeloaders. Free the freeloaders. Free than the word. So everybody. Oh, we got to get Blue Sky. We're not on Twitter.
No.
So we're not on Twitter. So, the Blue Sky. And new merch. I'll be working on that too. I had this 2-week long project that I would wake up, go work on this project, and then come home and collapse for the last couple of weeks. Y'all don't see how I suffer. Y'all don't see how, I'm a proletariat, the calloused hands and all that. So I've completed a major, major project. Shout out to Dr. Mingo and I. I just like to know, nice to know there's a PhD that can still get her hands dirty. She came out of the ivory tower to help me and did some tremendous work. So anyway, that project has concluded, and I can start to get on top of the projects we put on the back burners, like the merch and all the other stuff we working on. Right. So, stay plugged in.
Right. And I'm not a capitalist. It was a joke, all right? Because I already got someone in here saying with capitalists. Cool. Right. It was a joke, all right?
Next time, guys.